Today I'm bringing you a whole month's worth of weekly house resets in one video to show you everything I do each week to keep some semblance of order in the house. I say some semblance because, to be honest, as a mum of 3, some weeks I am just surviving and doing the bare minimum, some weeks I'm able to do more, and that's just how it is, isn't it? And I wanted to show that every week is different. This was the month of June, and if you like this video I might start making it a bit more of a regular thing. But yeah, we did some speed cleaning using a timer, some decluttering and deeper cleaning, navigated keeping on top of things in a heatwave, reset the garden. If you're not here for gardening, you can of course just skip past that week. And I take you along for a little bit of family time too, because when you work hard, you've got to balance that out with chill time. And yeah, I hope it gives you loads of motivation and ideas for your own home. Now let's get into the video. Let's start off the month as we mean to go on with a first of the month house reset. And today's focus will be our unending piles of laundry. On reset days, I choose something in the house that needs extra attention or things that have been put off, and I just zone in and I get it sorted. And between half term and the heatwave, we've done a ton of washing, but I haven't put much of it away at all. And now the house is overrun with piles of clothes. Do I regret it? No. I was too busy going on adventures and splashing around in the paddling pool to care about what messes were building up at home. Crashing back to reality now though, and it's pouring down with rain, which is good because now I don't feel guilty for spending hours and hours on the housework and not taking advantage of the good weather. That's such a British thing, isn't it? As soon as the sun starts to shine, you're like, I must get outside because it might go away and not come back again for another year. I cannot focus when it's sunny. Same as when it snows, I'm just too excited. Last year when it snowed, which barely happens here anymore, I got the kids up before the sun even came out because I was like, we need to build a snowman immediately before everything turns into sludge. Anyway, Charlie's home today, both older boys are at school and preschool, so hopefully we can get this done as fast as possible, and I'll still have some time to sort some other stuff before the kids get home. So plan of action was to work through one pile at a time, rather than put everything into one big pile, feel too overwhelmed and give up. You find laundry overwhelming? Yes I do, and it is. I don't mind washing clothes, I love washing, it's just the folding and putting away, it's so tedious. Anyway, doing it this way also means if something comes up or baby starts crying and we can't finish everything, at least we've ticked 1 or 2 piles off the list and gotten something done. Try to do it all in one big go when we're at risk of stopping halfway through, chucking everything into the corner and a doom pile developing, and then that'll just be put off and put off. I've noticed as I've become more confident in maintaining the house and finding systems that work for me and us as a household, there are some common triggers that will throw us off track and back into old habits, and those things are hot weather, sleep deprivation, school holidays and doom piles. And that last one will make perfect sense to people with brains like mine, because once a small pile is formed, it's like a green light in our minds to just keep adding to it rather than sorting it. And it's just a magnet for chaos, and it tips the whole harmony of the house off. So we try not to let a pile last longer than a day or 2 in this house, otherwise it will become a permanent fixture. And like I said, it's like a magnet. One pile develops and you're like, right, I clearly have no control or power over this situation. Might as well just make them all over the house, and they just start popping up like molehills all over the place. And I know that logic is no logic at all, but yeah. Anyway, next job on my list was pairing up socks. I usually do this with my eldest as one of his chores, and we make it into a competition to see who can find the most pairs. But today I just wanted to get it sorted because the sock tub was overflowing. And I've had so many people tell me to just get socks all in one colour and save myself the trouble. But where's the fun in that? Nothing better than a patterned sock. And it makes for quality time that I'm going to look back on fondly when I'm old, and I hope Rudy does too. So I got rid of loads of odd ones that have honestly been odd for about a year. Put a few back in the tub that I know have got a twin lingering in one of the laundry baskets, and altogether we found 27 pairs. Well chuffed with that. Anyway, as I was saying about bonding over pairing up socks, life's hectic when you have school-aged children, and you really only have about 4 hours of quality time between school pickup and bedtime. So we need to make these moments double up as intentional quality time where we can, because the housework still needs doing and the kids still need to learn responsibility, and it's a lot being an adult, isn't it? We need more time in the day. Anyway, my next job was to reorganise Velma's clothes because I've gotten into the habit of just shoving everything into the white basket and not being able to find a proper outfit. So I went through and found clothes she'd grown out of first, put them to the side, and then in her drawers I've put sleep suits in one, vests in another, and in the third I've decided to put her like summery all-in-one outfits. And then in the basket I've put co-ord sets in one side, cardigans and coats in another, although they'll probably be taken out soon because we're moving into summer. And then the socks just go in the middle. And now everything makes sense and I feel like a woman who has her life together again. Here's the clothes that are too small. They'll be donated. I had to get Charlie to move the cot out because it's so difficult. It's got stands that extend and they pop out whenever you try to move it, and then it gets jammed and it just sends me into a rage every time. But I really needed to pull everything out and give things a good hoover today because I was noticing crumbs building up. Obviously I try to do a daily or a every other day hoover, but I've not been moving the cot or Charlie's desk chair because it's just too much of a pain. But I thought it's the first of the month, I want to feel like everything's refreshed, let's just do it. And yeah, back to the topic about feeling like you've got it all together. When I first had Velma, I felt the most on the ball I've ever felt as a parent. And I think it was a combo of implementing loads of systems over the years, and then after a hellish pregnancy where I was sick the whole 9 months, finally feeling well enough to get things done. I literally felt limitless. But now things are settling and Velma's realised she has a voice and that things displease her, and those things are pretty much every single thing on the entire planet. It's gotten a bit harder to keep up momentum. She's more demanding and things have been slipping, but they're still 1,000 times better than they were before, and I'm so proud of us for that. And yeah, that's why I'll always stand by you never know what it's like for anybody else, and that things can change up really fast, especially with kids. They go through so many different changes and developmental leaps, no 2 weeks are the same, and you have to be adaptable. Just hoovering around Charlie's desk because I wanted to watch him on his game and eat some Pringles and managed to get more on the floor than he did his mouth. And yeah, even without kids, just as a woman, let's be honest, we can feel like 4 totally different people depending on the time of the month. It's so hard to stay consistent and have the same amount of motivation every single week, and it's unrealistic to expect that of ourselves. If I had Velma as my first baby, for the first month or so, I would have been like, I don't know how anyone finds parenting hard or struggles getting housework done with a baby. This is easy as anything. And that's because Velma slept through the night pretty much from day one and she was really chilled. I didn't have her first though. I had Rudy who woke up every 20 minutes for 3 years straight and wouldn't be put down, and it humbled me. And it honestly made me a more understanding parent and a more understanding person. Anyway, coming up to school pick-up time, and for some reason this took way longer than I expected. I think it's because we moved all of the furniture in and out. I didn't even get to watch 1 episode of Dexter. But it desperately needed to be done. I hoovered, carpet vacuumed, and now I feel so accomplished and ready to tackle the month ahead and hopefully get a bit more on top of things again. But if I don't, that's okay too. I've got a to-do list as long as my arm today, and I've given myself about 2 hours to get as much done as I can. Not because I don't have more time, but because I'm determined to spend my time well. Ike is starting school in 2 months and I want to spend as much time with him as possible before he's at school 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. I am so upset about it. But anyway, we're just going to see what we can get done, and anything we don't cross off the list can wait for another day. So first on my list is decluttering these drawers because honestly at the minute they're just wasted space. Half the stuff smushed in here is empty packaging, out-of-date products and pregnancy and ovulation tests. Can you tell I haven't gone through these since before I was trying for Velma? I am a chronic tester and I always like to have pregnancy tests on hand just in case. But yeah, I'm just going to get rid of as much as I can, clean the drawers and then put things back in an orderly fashion so that we actually know where things are and can use them. And the reason I've suddenly been pushed to do this is because it was Rudy's birthday and he's been given loads of Lynx stuff, rite of passage, and they've all just been sitting on top of the drawers and it's just looked so chaotic. And I've also gotten a new shelf for this room so that the drawers don't get too full. And I eventually want to make the shelf look really pretty, maybe a realistic looking fake plant, a cute light, a scent diffuser, but for now it's probably going to look a bit random while we figure that out. I also could do with decluttering the mirror cupboard, but honestly that's a job for another day because I've got lots of other things I need to be getting on with. So we've got a bag of rubbish and out-of-date stuff here. On the sink, this is what we're going to keep. By the way, yes, I am using water and product to clean these drawers. It's not edited in, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I also want to note that in the middle of this 2-hour clean, I took the kids out to visit the reptile shop with my cousin and her little boys. So it was a really relaxed day. I didn't clean for 2 hours straight. I went back and forth, ticking things off my list, and then spending time with the kids, eating lunch, pottering in the garden. I just made sure that I didn't clean for longer than 2 hours in total. While I let those dry, Charlie got to work on putting the shelf up, and I started on my next task, which was to clean some of the areas that have been shouting at me for the past week. This windowsill is always covered in mud because every time I water the plants, some leaks out of the bottom. And yes, I could water them outside or in the sink or do it in a number of other ways. But when you're in a rush, stuff like that is the last thing on your mind, isn't it? I'm just happy they're being watered and thriving, because there was a time no houseplant could survive longer than a few months under my care. And one of my proudest achievements is that my poinsettia is now well on its way to its 3rd Christmas in this house. And my next goal is to get its red leaves back by the end of the year. I think it's going to look amazing. Anyway, I'm calling this a reset. I know so many people hate that term. What's a reset? You're just cleaning and tidying your house. Say you're cleaning and tidying your house. But in my eyes, there's a huge difference between a reset and just normal daily tidying. As you know, I like to do midweek resets when both of my boys are at school, which wasn't the case today, but Charlie was home, so I felt less guilty. And I have to take whatever opportunity I can to get stuff done at the minute. I've got 2 kids and a baby. Life is full on. Anyway, a reset is different to a normal tidy because normal tidies are the non-negotiables you have to do every day to keep a household functioning. Washing the pots, hoovering, doing laundry, wiping down the surfaces, bleaching the toilet, you get the gist. A reset is a deep clean, decluttering, odd jobs, things you just physically can't get round to in the daily cleans unless you want to spend your entire life cleaning and tidying, which obviously most of us don't want to do. We want full, balanced lives. So my resets are focused bursts of time where I go all in and get this kind of stuff done on top of the normal daily cleans because we can't ignore them. For example, cleaning the oven after this morning's breakfast, this is a normal daily clean. And yeah, totally different in my eyes. One is done every day, one's done occasionally when you can find the time, but both totally necessary to keep the chaos at bay. I don't know why terminology winds people up so much, to be honest. If someone wants to romanticise the mundane, boring stuff, let them. Someone commented that how we refer to things can really help our mindsets, and I couldn't agree more. The thought of a reset gives me so much hope. It makes me feel energetic and excited to relax in it later. Calling it cleaning and tidying feels like a slog that will never end. But that's just me. Anyway, new shelf is all done. Next on my list was cleaning this cupboard because I opened it the other day and I thought, oh my goodness, this is repulsive. You'll see what I mean in a minute. The outside of the doors wasn't too bad, it's the inside that's the issue. And the culprit is my 4-year-old because he's in and out of this cupboard looking for snacks multiple times a day with his grubby little claws. And the fact it's gotten to this point is obviously totally my bad, because it's one of those things you could just sort as you see, which is something I've actually been trying to implement, just sort it when you see it. But for some reason I've been viewing this as a more difficult and time-consuming task than it actually was, and so I was putting it off for a day like today. Will I let it happen again? Who knows? Probably. Anyway, I've pretty much used skip the soak on every single thing I've cleaned today. I even use it to get stains out of clothes. I do that though. Pick one product and just run with it until it runs out. Saves faffing about going back and forth switching products to clean different things. I can't be bothered. Obviously when I first moved into this house and when I first started this channel, I was really excited to fill my cleaning cupboard with products and loads of different stuff. But the novelty has well and truly worn off. I just want to get the job done. I don't care what with, as long as it works. There are some products I absolutely swear by and use all the time, and then others I just think they're a bit gimmicky. While I was doing that, Charlie had moved on to his next project, which was building a play chair for the baby. The drawers had all dried, so I put everything back in its place, gave everything a quick spray and wipe down, but there was no way I was intending to do a thorough clean in here. At this point, I had about half an hour left of my allotted 2 hours, and I had a school meeting to go to, and then after school I promised the boys we'd go up to my mum's to the allotment to pick some strawberries. So I'll show you that because everything's come alive since the last time I took you to visit. I still wish my mum would make her own channel though, and make allotment and food and flower growing videos, maybe next year. One thing I did need to do in here before we left though was hoover and mop. Hoover because there was dust everywhere after Charlie put that shelf up, and mop goes without saying, I live with 3 boys. If I had to pick one room to mop above every other room in the house, it would be this one every time. So obviously I'm on a redecorating spree at the minute, and I'm going for colourful, every room a different colour. What colour do you think would go best in here? Bear in mind I'm not changing any of the cupboards or shelves, so it'd need to go well with the white furniture and white skirting boards. Here I am using skip the soak again to clean the mirror. Again, if it works, it works. And I'm actually really chuffed with that new shelf. I think this room should be green. Don't know why, I'm just getting green vibes, like a really pale green. But obviously I'm open to suggestions. And I know people are going to judge me for this, but I'm not taking the drawers out to clean underneath them. Again, I can't be bothered. I know I'm a cleaning channel, but I've got the ick at the minute with cleaning. I'm bored of it. What I'm not bored of though are allotments and gardening and getting out in nature. And look how beautiful Mum's allotment is now. Let me try and find a video of what it looked like a few months ago for comparison. It's actually amazing how fast things grow and bloom. But yeah, if you want to get a full look at the space a few months ago, I have a visit my mum's allotment with me video. It's a short, you can check that out. And we'll be spending lots of time here over the next few months, so let me know if you want to see more of the allotment. She does bonfires and we toast marshmallows and sometimes have a fish and chip dinner here on a little picnic table. It's well cute. Anyway, me and Rudy looked for some strawberries, but by the time we'd got here, I could already eaten them. Me and Charlie picked Rudy up from school and my mum had picked Ike up and he'd got here and eaten them all first. And then he decided to go over to the next allotment along and get some peas. The lovely lady that grows them shared them with him. According to my mum, they're quite good friends. And yeah, just what an absolute dream to be able to bring my kids here. Those are the carrots that you saw her planting a few months ago. And I know you're here for the cleaning content, but I really do hope you enjoy these little interludes. I really want you to get that cosy, wholesome vibe when you're watching along and just feel even that little bit happier after you've left me. Anyway, didn't manage to cross off 2 things on my list and I'd say that's pretty good going. I can get them done tomorrow. Let's reset the garden for the month. And I like to do this at the start of every month, but unfortunately this is the first day of June so far that it hasn't rained every day. I feel like we've already had our summer after that one hot week in May. I'm also fuming because my wisteria's bloomed and I didn't really get to enjoy it and now all of the petals are falling off. But I did take a video to remember it by. Look how beautiful, I'm so obsessed with it. I just wish they lasted a bit longer. It feels like as soon as they bloom they're already wilting. I do sometimes get a second wave of bloom later in the summer, but it's nothing like the first wave. And also these pink flowers, they've already gone now as well, but there's plenty more waiting to bloom still. Anyway, before I could start any of my jobs, Charlie came out to get the lawnmower and pack some of the stuff into our storage thingy. I will not go in there at the minute, there's just stuff stacked on top of stuff and it makes my blood boil. I'll end up getting so mad I'll develop superhuman strength and just lob the mower across the garden like the Hulk. Luckily, Charlie's calm and he doesn't let tiny things wind him up. I'm calm most of the time, don't get me wrong, it's just when it's the same tiny inconveniences over and over again, like our shoe cupboard. We put loads of effort sorting it, building new shelves, putting in new wall hooks, and guess what happened the other day? Both of the wall hooks fell out of the wall because it's basically just plasterboard. So now we have nowhere to put the coats, the new shelves are taking up the rest of the space, and we're in a worse situation with even less storage space in there, and I feel such colossal rage every time I open the door to find something. I'm getting mad just thinking about it. Anyway, started off as always with the mowing, and look how healthy the lawn's looking compared to the last time I showed you. I'm actually working on a video about how I get the lawn looking so lush from spring to summer, so it's a work in progress at the minute. But if you struggle with like drainage or bad soil quality or leather jacket grubs, anything like that, I think it's going to really help. Charlie put everything back after I finished the mowing. And then this rocky patch is overrun now, so that's what we're going to sort next. It turned out I had so much more to sort than I originally thought I would. But one good thing about the rain is it's made everything just accelerate, especially this sage. Look at that. At this point, I actually think I could supply a supermarket. So I'm just going to trim loads of it on either side because it's blocking out the sun for some of the other plants. And then I can just give it away to friends and family for cooking. With the curry plant, I'm just going to tie it back a bit because it's just drooping too far onto the path. And yeah, this took pretty much all day, especially because I kept going back and forth to the shop to buy more flowers. I feel like this year the garden needs loads more flowers. Those yellow ones there are lovely though, aren't they? This is the first year that plant's bloomed. And as I'm doing the voiceover now, they're all fanned out and the ants out of every insect seem to be loving them. I'll show you that in the July reset though. We do have loads of flowering plants, but they all flower at different times, and I think it would be nice to see loads more colour. Next, I cut the thyme back so that it wasn't completely covering this plant, even though the flowers have already gone over. Although I have recently been told if I cut the old flowers off those types of plants, some more will grow. And I did that about 2 weeks ago, and so far, nothing. So I don't know if I did it wrong or if I have to wait a little bit longer. We'll see. But like I said, I've been stuck in the house just looking at the garden through the window. The bees are absolutely loving the wisteria. Even in the rainstorm they were out there, bless them, getting pelted by rain. Anyway, next I cut loads of the runners off this plant. I always forget what this one's called, but it's so prolific and it has these absolutely gorgeous indigo flowers in springtime. I think I showed you those last time. Just imagine though if they all bloomed at the same time, how gorgeous it would be amongst all of the green. This is an alpine strawberry plant. I put these down for the birds so that they didn't eat our big strawberries, because they really put a dent in them last year. But it turns out this year they much prefer ripping off all of the unripe red currants instead. Can you tell I'm bitter about that? Fuming. Didn't even let them get ripe. But there are still some left. I'm sure they'll get to them before we do though. Here I was just seeing if my mum wanted any of the runners. But yeah, I cannot wait to have a bigger garden and experiment with flower placements and seasonal timings. I can just tell I'm going to be completely obsessed. I'll be so sad to leave this garden though, because I've poured my heart into it. And just thinking back to the years of footage I have building it up from nothing, and little baby Ike toddling around, and my mum and stepdad and my dad helping us build stuff, and Ike chasing my granddad around the pergola with a water blaster, it just makes me want to cry. I feel so lucky I've got it all on camera for memories though. I remember when we first moved in and it was just me and Rudy, and I couldn't even afford a paddling pool, so I used to fill this old turtle sandpit we had with water. It was just this tiny thing, but he was happy as anything with it. It took me years to fully furnish the place, but we were still so happy to be here. I just can't believe how far we've come since those days, and it is in part, well, greatly because of this channel and you guys watching. And I can't thank you enough for being here. It means everything that you enjoy watching. Anyway, as I went round, I tried to dig the grass out of the cracks when I noticed it. I don't have a tool for this though, so it'll just grow back really quickly, but never mind. Charlie was telling me about this metal scrubbing tool he keeps seeing, but I feel like it's just another tool to find a home for. But if anyone has one and it's worth it, let me know. I just already feel like I'm at capacity with gadgets and tools. These two plants really don't do well in this garden. They keep getting eaten by slugs. And it's such a shame because the flowers are so pretty, but we barely see them. I'm hoping once the plant becomes more established, if it gets a chance, we'll see them next year. This buddleia just planted itself here and I feel so bad, but I'm taking it out. I've already got a buddleia in a pot near the back door, and that's for the butterflies. And I am finally getting rid of the mint. I've had enough of it. I might get some in a pot at some point, but it's creeping through into next door's garden and I just want to get rid of it before it gets even worse. I've got some lovely new plants to put in here as well. By the way, the amount of leather jacket grubs I found in just this one patch. And look at all the roots I've just pulled out. And that's not all of the roots, I'm sure. They're so thick. I'm sure more will start popping up and causing a problem, but it is my own fault. I was told. I just have to learn things the hard way. You have to leave me to it. Anyway, I feel like we need some more edible plants, especially because I am obsessed with cooking at the minute. So I'm putting in some parsley here. I did want to plant it a bit further away from the lavender and closer to that panel, but there was like concrete there and I couldn't dig into it. That is the case for so many areas in this garden. And you'll know if you follow along, but under the entire garden, there's literally massive chunks of brick and concrete and metal. No wonder we had such a problem growing the grass. And yes, in case you're wondering, it is a new build garden, of course. Look at those lovely new plants. I am wondering, now we're coming on to 8 years of living here, how long is a new build considered a new build? But yeah, you're kind of swimming against the tide trying to bring new build gardens to life. They really don't set you up for success. That's why I'm so proud of how it's looking now. Anyway, my mum said she'd take all of those cuttings, so I'm just boxing them up for her. Ignore my receding hairline, postpartum hair loss strikes again. And I'm not confident it's going to grow back, to be honest. I've lost more and more hair after each baby and it's never really grown back properly. But they're worth it, and at least I've still got my fabulous personality. Next, I trimmed the edges of the lawn with some scissors, like I always do. My mum and stepdad were around at this point because they were taking Ike out for a bit, so I was chatting away to them while I did this. Charlie was obviously on baby duty. Oh, there we go. Thelma is 4 months old now and she just wants to be chauffeured everywhere. She's really nosy. She's happy as long as she's walking around observing everything. By the way, I have to say this every time, but I know I could use a strimmer. I just don't get on with them. I don't know whether I'm holding it wrong or angling it wrong, but every time I do it, it either breaks against the brick wall, you know, the little wire thing you have to put in and it spins round, the technical term. But yeah, either that or I'll angle it wrong and then it'll just whip into the grass and get strings of mud everywhere, and then it's just, I don't like them. And that is the most eloquent I've ever been on this channel. And also, that wasn't an invitation for advice on how to use a strimmer. I've just gotten rid of it. I don't want one. Next, I moved on to this little corner, which was looking really unkempt because loads of weeds and grass seed had just germinated there. So I just neatened all of this up. Right at the back there is honeysuckle and it just smells divine, which is another reason I wanted to neaten everything up here so we could get out and have our meals on the picnic bench again, if the summer actually decides to summer eventually. And I do have to butt in here and say that the summer absolutely did summer, as you'll see on week 4, but it summered so much that we all had to stay inside because the heat was unbearable. But yeah, I think my focus for July's garden reset is going to be lighting. When we first transformed the garden, we set up loads of solar lights in the pebbles and festoon lights on the pergola, but they all stopped working, and I'm leaning towards lanterns this year and some kind of like fairy solar lights for amongst the plants. I'm very excited. This is the honeysuckle up close and I can't put into words how good it smells. Picking out some more grass from the cracks in the patio. Someone said to use salt to stop it from growing back, but yeah. We've got jasmine next to the other bench that will bloom later on in the season as well, and that smells just as nice. And this is that bench, featuring Charlie tidying up whilst I feed the baby. If you look to the left, that plant creeping onto the structure there, that's jasmine. And my goal when we first planted it was to kind of train it to creep all the way across. And then you can smell it while you're sitting on the bench. But so far it's not really been growing much this way. I mean, it is, just really slowly. Next, I wanted to add some new flowers to this pot. We did have little daisies in here, but the huge weed must have stolen all of the space because they just wilted. So I'm trying some new flowers this time. I am aware this is a pot for garden herbs, by the way, but I can do what I want. I don't know whether this is going to work either, or whether I've packed way too many flowers into one small space. But this is a learning process, and like I said, I have to figure these things out myself. I wanted to put in one of each colour of these little flowers in the top. I especially love the stripy two-toned one. And then in the little side bits, I thought these blue flowers would look lovely. They're so pretty and hopefully not as delicate as they look because I just smushed them in. You've got to be hardy to exist in this garden, to be honest. Next, I decided I wanted like a creeping vine against the brick, and I went for this red clematis. It's really tiny at the minute, and I know red on brick isn't the greatest contrast, but I have 3 other big flowering plants in this garden. I have the honeysuckle, the wisteria and the jasmine. One's white, one's purple and the other's yellow. So I wanted another standout colour for the clematis, and the only other option was another purple, and that would have just annoyed me. This is what I mean about bricks and debris under the garden. This was just from one tiny spot I dug in the corner, but yeah. Next, I had this bay tree waiting to be planted for weeks. So I put him in a nice big pot. Again, mostly thinking of cooking when I choose plants, to be honest. I'm going to put this one in the corner opposite the buddleia. I really am running out of space to add new plants now, but that isn't going to stop me. I will find a way. One of my friends has little pots actually attached to her brick wall, and I think, I might try that next. It's just so good for the soul to see your garden full of life and think, I did all of that. And to see happy bees flying around and checking out all of the different flowers, it makes me so happy. Anyway, then in another pot, I came up with this idea that I highly doubt is going to work, but I absolutely love wildflowers. I love wildflower fields, I love what they do for the ecosystem, but I can't just let my garden become overrun and just spread wildflower seeds everywhere. My kids deserve a patch of lawn to play on and a place we can get the paddling pool out. So I thought, I wonder if I can sprinkle some wildflower seeds into a large pot and just see what happens. Probably won't work, but it was just something I had in mind for the bugs. I was also thinking for the birds to get a little bird table where we can put seeds and bits of fruit, obviously to help them get some extra nutrients, but to hopefully deter them from picking off the plants as well. But then I wonder, will that just attract more of them to the garden to eat the food and then still ravage my plants? They need it more than we do anyway, especially because we live in a town. Their sources of food are continually dwindling, and if we want strawberries, we can just go across the road to the supermarket. It is nice to be able to eat the food you've grown with your own hands, though. We have a little water thingy here for them if they need a drink. But yeah, what do you think? The sparrows and the blackbirds absolutely love eating grubs from the lawn, so I wonder whether it's pigeons eating the berries. I'll have to have a look at what they like to eat. I do have a soft spot for pigeons because they were once domesticated birds, and then when we no longer had use for them, they kind of had to start fending for themselves. So if I can be a safe place for them to find food, I'm happy to be. I just wish they'd leave the berries alone. Anyway, Charlie's just having a little sweep and clear round, getting rid of all of the plant and grass clippings and clearing the picnic table. At this point, I was absolutely ravenous and just wanted a shower. It was a lot of work for one day, but to be able to look out into the garden and see it all looking lovely is just the best thing ever. And now it's all ready for barbecues and picnics and getting the paddling pool out. I can't wait. We're going to Tenby in July, so I'm going to take you along as well. Anyway, next Ike was back to pick some of the strawberries that were ready today. We have the variety of strawberry that will keep producing fruit for most of the summer. We keep the strawberries in a little tub in the fridge. We also have a loganberry that's going to start fruiting near the end of summer, so we're very excited for that because we got it last year and it just didn't fruit. And then to protect the strawberries from slugs, I always put these little mesh bags over them, just as they're starting to go red. Ignore the quality, I forgot to film on this phone, so I had to zoom in the footage from my other phone and it's really grainy. Last year we barely got to eat any of the strawberries because the slugs got to them first. So this is a handy little trick if you don't want to use chemicals or pesticides. And yeah, that's all done. Now let me show you around. So we've got the strawberries here under the window, the honeysuckle in the corner. Here's the wisteria that I hope will eventually move all the way across the pergola, making this dappled light for us to eat underneath. It's looking very green and not very colourful at the minute, but trust me, that will change next month. Still pretty though, I just need more flowers to start doing their thing. To think there was a time there was literally not one shred of life in this garden, I am so thrilled. I know you probably clicked on this video looking for cleaning motivation, not necessarily gardening content, but we need some simple, wholesome content at the minute, don't we? And I find maintaining the garden way less stressful than maintaining the house. Don't worry though, week 4 is right back to cleaning and tidying. So here we actually have a sandpit that's covered at the moment, and surrounding it we've got a plum tree which is getting so tall, and there were a few plums growing on it, but I don't know whether the pigeons have had those as well. And then this is the red currant bush. There are still some berries left. I'm hoping we still have some by the end, well, by the time they're ripe enough to pick. And yeah, this is the view of the pergola. It's so beautiful. I'm so happy. And I'll definitely make another video in July to show you what it's all looking like then. Might have to be a short form one though. The UK feels like 1 billion degrees right now, and my house is the worst state it's been in since before I had Velma. The beauty of this video is though that you can see that I have actually been putting the work in. The amount of times I get comments saying this hasn't been cleaned in a month, and it was cleaned yesterday. That really is how fast things can become out of hand in this house. But back to business, let's do 15 minutes in each room and see if we can make a decent improvement. After that I'm going to my mum's, whose house is an actual bearable temperature, to watch the football. It's so funny because I was complaining about the weather for pretty much all of week 3's video. And this really is an example of be careful what you wish for. So for my 15 minutes in here, I'm just going to focus on the massive build-up of pots, otherwise we're going to get maggots. This is literally just from breakfast and last night's dinner. Yes, we left the pots overnight. Oh no! You wouldn't do that? I did. What now? By the way, just a warning, you are going to get sassy Remy in this video because the heat turns me evil. But when I tell you our house is like standing in an oven, in the evenings it's diabolical. I'm not joking, it's so difficult to get yourself to do anything. And the only thing spurring me on right now is the fact I get to leave after I've done this. My mum's is an older house, so it doesn't get as boiling as the new builds. Still boiling though, but she's got a massive pool in her garden as well. But yeah, I know people from hotter countries think we're just being wusses when we get hot weather here, but it is so stifling. We literally have no infrastructure to cope with the hot weather here. Our houses are built to keep in heat, and most of us only have like standard bedroom fans that just circulate hot air around. And yeah, with the climate changing, we definitely need to get with the programme because this is getting ridiculous. And it's not as simple as, oh, just get AC though, especially at the minute because 1, it costs thousands to install. Most of us don't have a few extra grand lying around. And 2, everybody's trying to get AC at the minute. I've seen people queuing in places before the shops have even opened to try and get an AC unit, and everywhere is sold out. It's not just the UK either, it's other parts of Europe. I saw a video of a man frying an egg in a frying pan by putting it onto his balcony in France the other day. So yeah, that's why my house is a pigsty, and I make no apologies for it. I'm just too chunky for this. I'm sweating in places I didn't know a human being could sweat. And yes, this video is probably going to be me complaining about the weather the entire way through again. Complaining about the hot weather this week, complaining about the rain last week. That's us British for you. We're never satisfied. But yeah, I'll complain at least until I take you to my mum's because I'm going to take you along, of course. Table's awful. I've just got piles of washing from the line and parcels on it at all times at the minute. The parcels are Ike's school clothes and it's so upsetting. I feel like he was just born yesterday. And it's so strange to think that you guys have been here from when he was pretty much just starting to walk and now he's going to school. It goes way too fast. Got some balloons for the England match as well. Yes, I am one of those people who only care about football when it's the World Cup. I just like the atmosphere and I love a family gathering. I don't care what it's for. And that's my first 15 minutes up. Just going to take the wash out and put the next load in. The one silver lining to this weather is the washing dries in about 5 minutes. And you're going to have to trust me on the 15 minutes thing because the iPad's out of charge. It's been banned in our house for over 2 months now. And if I get it out, I'll probably forget I've done it and it'll cause all hell to break loose if Ike sees it. Plus, I actually think the iPad would combust in this heat. Has anyone else's phone been getting dangerously hot? I actually put mine in the fridge to cool down at one point. Do not recommend that though because it started glitching after that and I've had to buy a new one. Anyway, we're on to the next room. Hideous. There's chairs and blankets everywhere because my children were making a fort. I'll never discourage them from doing this because it's nice to see them using their imagination, but God, it does grate on me. The amount of times I fold these blankets. I've cleaned this room twice already before school this morning, but it just does not stay tidy. But they're out of the house for a bit now, so here we go again, 3rd time lucky. As sad as I am that Ike's going to school, this is the one thing I'm looking forward to, getting a tidy living room for a few hours a day. The age gaps between my children mean I'm basically doing the baby to preschooler phase over and over again from scratch. There's 5 years between my eldest and 4 years between my younger two, which is not ideal logistically because they're all at really different life stages, but it's also really fun because they're all at different life stages and I get to watch their little personalities bloom from one age to the next. And I get to guide them in different ways all at the same time. I've got a baby, one reception age and one that's nearing the end of primary school. We love the chaos here. We say we don't, but we clearly do. I do want to reiterate, I'm firmly sticking to 15 minutes per room. Anything that doesn't get done after 15 minutes can wait for another time. But it's surprising how much you can get done in that time, and most of the time the rooms look pretty presentable afterwards. So I definitely champion using timers to help you clean, especially if you struggle with motivation. There are crumbs on the carpet 90% of the time at the minute because I don't enforce a food only in the kitchen rule. Much to many people's annoyance because I still have the audacity to complain about it. I am well aware I probably should and I'm making more mess for myself, but my kids are so happy eating snacks while they watch a cartoon. And I remember doing exactly the same when I was a kid. I've spoken about this before, but I actually had certain foods for certain programmes, and I used to eat a sandwich with cheese and onion spread every time I watched Will-O-the-Wisp. And no, I wasn't born in the 70s, but my mum used to show me 1970s cartoons, and I still stand by Will-O-the-Wisp being one of the best. They just don't make kids' programmes like that anymore. After the 90s, they all just went downhill, but I guess every generation thinks that, don't they? I bought the DVD to show my kids and they weren't interested in the slightest, although I have managed to get Ike to like the Rugrats, so we watch the Rugrats movies before bed now, which I love. Am I going to take everything off the table before I clean it? No. At least I've moved things out the way. There was a time I would have just cleaned around them. Look at that open window there, making no difference to the temperature of this house. Asking It Is Given is a law of attraction book, by the way. I like to manifest. I would like to manifest this weather away. But yeah, cleaning this room takes a surprisingly short amount of time. So I had about 7 minutes left to hoover and give things a wipe down. Even the walls, which were looking really grubby. So upsetting because I only recently repainted in here. It's that new beanbag and the kids sliding along the walls like slugs. Thankfully, I got wipeable paint. And I think I've got extra in the cupboard if I need to redo any of it. That's another room done. I am on a roll. But yeah, how many people in the UK have been managing to keep on top of things in this heat wave? I know some people are just built differently and you'll have been able to stay consistent the entire way through. Couldn't be me though. Onto the bathroom and it just needs a quick clean to be honest, and even if it didn't, that's all it was going to get. The sink was especially grubby, so that's where I started. My game plan with the speed cleans is just to start with the thing that makes each room look the worst or takes priority, like the pots, and anything else is a bonus. I'm keeping track of the time by the video on my phone. I'm not stopping and starting, I'm just moving the tripod around with me, so thinking about it, I'm actually losing seconds doing that. So this is probably 14 minutes in every room. Go me! Just think though, if your house is really messy and you're feeling overwhelmed and you just don't know where to start, and all you can muster is about 10 minutes, 10 minutes in the room you spend the most time in, that could change your entire day, and you'd just feel so accomplished. The bit around the plug always gets grime stuck in it, so I'm getting rid of that. I usually use a toothpick, but I didn't know where any were. I'm really feeling the urge to do a proper deep clean in the bathrooms, but at the minute, in the phase of life I'm in, it's surface cleaning. It's keeping our heads above water. Next, I decluttered this shelf a little bit. It's only been here a few weeks and it's already cluttered. Story of my life. I am going to try and make this a bit more aesthetically pleasing down the line. Why are people incapable of putting this little hand towel back neatly on the radiator? Always got to have a little bit of Halloween in this house all year round, by the way. I'm hoping to go all out for Halloween again this year because I didn't get to last year when I was pregnant. I was too poorly. I want to dress Velma up as Plankton. I just think it'll be hilarious. I'll be Bubble Bass. Or Mrs. Puff, because how she feels about SpongeBob is how I feel about my kids in this heat at the minute. They're just constantly scrapping. If you've never watched SpongeBob SquarePants, you'll have no idea what I'm going on about, but that's on you. Nah, I'm joking. No, I'm not wearing gloves. Yes, I know I should. No, this isn't the same sponge I used on the sink. Although it wouldn't matter if it was, I cleaned the sink first. I repeat these lines in my sleep at this point. I also know that most cleaning products aren't the healthiest, and I could use white vinegar to clean things, but I don't want to. People try to educate me every day about how terrible and unhealthy household cleaning products are, not knowing that I know ball. There was once a time I was whole food plant-based vegan for health reasons, and I truly was going through some kind of crisis. I was terrified of toxins in the air, in our drinking water, in our food. Wouldn't eat any of my favourite foods anymore, like pizza or steak or macaroni cheese or fizzy drinks. Wouldn't burn the scented candles that brought me just that little bit of joy because of paraffins. Wouldn't even wear spray-on deodorant. I even bought a filter literally for our bathwater because I didn't want things to leach in through our skin. My mental health was in the gutter, and I now realise it was a very severe case of postpartum anxiety, but it all felt so real and intense and critical at the time. I had this new life and this new responsibility, and I had to protect him from every single thing that could make him poorly. And yeah, it was restrictive and miserable. Postpartum mental health really isn't spoken about openly enough, and I would like to change that on this channel, especially having had two very different experiences the second and third time around. And yeah, to combat those thoughts in my third postpartum phase of life, which I'm in now, I eat the chocolate and the crisps and quote-unquote junk food, and I light the scented candles to lift my mood after I've cleaned the house, and I use the nice smelling cleaning products because it makes me feel cosy. And having a balanced mindset around these things is far more important to health, okay? Leave me alone. And don't worry, I do use deodorant now. Still stink in this weather though. This was way back in 2016 when the crunchy mum movement was big on Instagram. And it just goes to show you how influential social media can be, especially at people's most vulnerable times, like their teenage years where their brain's all over the place, or postpartum where, again, your brain is all over the place and your hormones are so up and down. It's so important to be conscious of what you're consuming regularly. By consuming, I mean what you're watching on social media. Is it all doom and gloom? Is it stuff that's terrifying you or triggering you and putting you into a bad place mentally? You shouldn't be anxious all the time. It is okay to step away from social media or block the creators that make you feel bad. I'd actually say that's really healthy online hygiene. And because of that, having the following size I have, I feel I have a moral obligation to make people feel positive and uplifted when they watch my videos, and to not spread misinformation or fearmonger. That's not to say that junk food in excess isn't bad for you, or choosing a soy wax candle isn't the better option. What I am saying is balance, guys. Balance is key in all things. Anyway, my main goal in this room was to whittle down the gigantic washing pile. I knew I wasn't going to get it all done because honestly we've let it build up way too much, but I could at least make a dent. So this stuff next to the mirror, that's going back into the wash pile, but at least there's only one wash pile now. I can sort that later. By later, if I'm being honest with myself, is when this heatwave is gone. Let me just show you what I look like right now as I'm doing this voiceover. My eyeballs are sweating. Can't even have the fans on because it'd make too much noise. It's alright, I've got 2 more minutes to go. 2 more minutes of yapping. We can do this. I am aware I don't actually have to talk all the way through these videos, but people have come to expect it and I don't want to let you down. I've got you, even if I'm talking to you from the surface of the sun. This is my attempt at making the bed, by the way. Appreciate it because that's the best it's getting. And that's another room done. Doesn't look too shabby. It's not perfect, but perfect was never what we were going for. Let me just quickly nudge that under the bed. Didn't get a chance to hoover, but we still got a lot done. I'm telling you, 15, 10, even 5 minutes per room, life-changing. And I was going to finish the whole house, but then I kicked over my drink and that was the final straw for me. And then later on that day, we got to Mum's house ready to watch England play the most boring match I've ever watched. I was well excited as well because they did so well in their first match, but never mind. Remember, this was filmed in June, by the way, guys. It's not a recent game. But yeah, I got to spend time with my family and that's the main thing. And then the next day we went round again to spend the entire day in this massive paddling pool. I am so grateful for my mum. Look at that water, I could just get in there now. I've never been so jealous of past me in my life. She got the picnic blanket out, some bubbles, some toys for baby Velma. And I just hope my kids remember these days and how amazing summer and Halloween and Christmas time were at my mum's. She's always gone all out for them and she really is the best grandma ever. The kids picked all different kinds of raspberries from the garden, and then my mum made this Brazilian lemonade that was so tasty. This is one of her flower arrangements. She grows all of these at her allotment. Isn't she talented? And yeah, as you can tell, my tune has completely changed just thinking about this day, but I will go back to being full of rage in just a second. Goodbye.